Hello everybody, it's Tommy and welcome back to my channel. Today we are creating sort of a random family, especially because this is a type of video that I don't typically do. So normally when I do create a sim videos, they are usually a celebrity, a YouTuber, a cartoon character, something where I have like a direct reference to recreate. And I don't really create families that are random and do backstories for them. It's just not really my thing. But I recently did a speed build of a house that you guys requested. First and foremost, I built a occult estate. And if you haven't seen that, it is my most time-consuming speed build. So I'm really pushing it, I feel like. But I really want everybody to check it out because it is this huge mansion. And of course, I will link it at the end of the video. And that lot was massively beautiful and probably one of my best creations that I have ever done on my time on YouTube. But a lot of you knew right away that you weren't going to be able to use it because it was on such a huge lot. There was so much to it that it's a little bit undownloadable unless you have like a really high functioning gaming PC. So a lot of you had requested a more modern, small occult house. So I created a fall themed converted factory sort of dormitory for a bunch of young adult sims that are all different occults. And that house was created for the 4 main playable occults in the sims, which is basically, to me, means you go and create a sim, and when you click create an occult sim, there are 4 options, and those are aliens, spellcasters, mermaids, and vampires. So I had so much fun making that home, and as I was sort of putting it all together and creating the bedrooms and designing the whole thing, I started to think about what the people that lived in this house would look like, and I really wanted to do almost a part 2 video to that and create a companion video and a companion family that can live in that house. So if you want to download the house, which contains no custom content, you can, and then you can download this family to go with it. If you would like any of the custom content that you're seeing in today's video because you want to download these sims or you just see something that you like, all of the custom content I use is linked on my Pinterest. They are in folders that are all categorized. So for this video, I've used stuff out of my vampires folder, I've used stuff out of my aliens folder, my spellcaster folder, and then just my general like Sims 4 folders, hairs, all of that stuff. So if you go through, you will find everything. There is massive amounts of CC in this video, so it's just a little bit difficult to individually link everything, but I basically exclusively use Pinterest, so there you go if you would like that. So, the first sim that we are creating, her name is Lily Triton, and I picked the name Lily, obviously, because it is a little bit more of an organic name that is supposed to be relative to mermaids and the land and the ocean and all of that. And for Lily, she was actually originally supposed to be a male, and kind of subconsciously, I would say, I went into Create a Sim and started to make a mermaid because I have in the past always made total like female mermaids. I accidentally started making her a female, and then she ended up being one of the prettiest sims I have ever made to date. She is absolutely drop dead gorgeous, and I couldn't let her go, and I really didn't want to change her over to be like a spellcaster or anything because her doe-like appearance and just her general very kind looking face didn't really suit the other vibes I was going for. So I ended up keeping her as a mermaid. And you know what? I'm really happy that I did. And for her, like, mermaid transformation, the only thing I really wanted to make sure I had is instead of going for maybe, like, a prettier sim, which that's usually what I would do, like, for a mermaid, I would do lots of jewelry and I would do lots of, like, hair accessories. I decided instead I just wanted her to have more of, like, an alien-esque feature to her and almost look like she's completely underwater. She is made of water. And, of course, she needs a crown because she is a princess. So her story is that she is a princess of the ocean, and she decided she doesn't really want to be a princess. So she ran away from the ocean and she moved out of Solani, and she is now on land disguised as a human. She got lucky enough to live in a house with a bunch of other occults where they all can kind of be their true selves when they're home alone, but they have to hide it when other people are around. And she's not allowed to step foot in water or her family will find her because she really wants to be a veterinarian. She likes animals, she likes land animals and dogs and cats, and she really just would rather do that with her life. Other than that, she's very kind, she's very outgoing and simple, and she is overall like a super good roommate to have and just like a really, really nice friend in general. The next one is our Spellcaster sim. So this sim's name is Vera, and Vera is basically the opposite of everything Lily is. Originally, I think I did intend for her to be sort of like Sabrina Spellman, and you will see slight resemblance-wise to Sabrina, although I wasn't using her as a reference. I was using Pinterest reference like I typically do, and of course when it came to the hair, I couldn't help myself but to give her like that beautiful, bright, whitish Karen and Shipka season 2 of Chilling Adventures of Sabrina hair, and it just worked for her skin tone and everything so well. But instead of going for more of that, like, Sabrina's kind of good, kind of bad, she doesn't really know all the time, depends on the season, depends on the thing, she is just a purely evil sim. Vera doesn't do anything that doesn't directly help her or her goals or her life. She's a horrible roommate. The rest of the Sims that live with her avoid her at all costs because she's constantly pranking and doing things that are just purely evil and fun for her, and she wants to be a public enemy. So her goal is basically just to terrorize the town, but she also has to keep her spellcasting a secret, because in my head, and I talked about this a little bit more in my speed build video, I don't think occults are like openly out in the Sims 4 world. They try to hide it, and I have seen from some gameplay that like alien Sims can get embarrassed if people find out that they're actually aliens and stuff like that, and I really like that because it does help keep a sense of realism to the Sims without eliminating the supernatural side, so you can kind of have both, but it's kind of like in real life how supernatural things are around and people can either acknowledge them or deny them, and I like that. It kind of allows you to have both in the world of the Sims. A lot of people think that you either have to play with non-realistic, meaning occult Sims, or you have to play completely realistic, and I think that there is room for both of them and a little bit of lore, because that's something that the Sims 4 is also really, really lacking, is any type of lore. As far as her outfit goes, I just wanted her to feel super modern. This is for a modern home. This isn't supposed to be anything more medieval. Like for some of my other spellcasters, I've gone all over the place and done like alchemist coats with like fur and all sorts of stuff. So I really just wanted to do something that I thought you would see someone who today, if minus the hat, would be wearing in the middle of fall. And layering clothes right now is really, really in, especially doing like a layered dress with a turtleneck or just a long sleeve undershirt and then some tall socks. But I did really struggle with her outfit color wise. For each of them, I kind of coordinate a color in my head, and I'm like, what color do I want to use for a spellcaster? Typically it would be purple, but I have overdone the purple, so I was trying to go for more of like this ruby reddish, maroonish kind of color, violet if you will, and I ended up going with this turtleneck and the matching velvet skirt. Is that velvet? Might not be velvet, corduroy, and then the matching socks and the fishnet stockings, and for some reason they almost all ended up with fishnet stockings. It's always like my fall go-to. These ones in particular go all the way up past the skirt, so they're super, super cute, and they kind of cover the belly up a little bit so that you get a little bit more cohesiveness to the whole outfit. And I did include a hat, although she was like trying to hide her identity. I felt like the hat was necessary. The only thing I don't really enjoy about spellcasters in CAS is that they don't have an alternate form. So for mermaids, you can create their everyday form and then their occult form, and you can do that for vampires and aliens as well. So it makes sense to me that spellcasters would have a spellcasting form, and they don't. So whatever you get in their natural form is what you kind of have to have. So I decided the hat was appropriate so you could still get the vibes from it all. Moving on to our alien sim. So again, this alien sim was originally supposed to be a male, but when I was custom content shopping for her, I could not find anything that I was looking for when it came to male alien sims. And aliens came out with Get to Work. So they are one of the first occults we got, if not the first one. And it's a little bit difficult to find custom content that's still working that people created around the time of Get to Work. And or I've noticed a lot of times if people do like custom freckles and weird little galaxy tattoos and custom skin tones, they won't work for aliens for some reason. I don't know what that is, but like you have to code them a certain way or what you have to do, but it'll say like doesn't work for aliens. And that was a huge issue for this. And it ended up working out because I already had some futuristic clothing in my game and I wanted to finally get an opportunity to use some of it. I had two dresses, and one of them was a little bit more girly and one was a little bit more like armor, and I decided to go with the more girly one. So this is Pixel. And Pixel doesn't have a last name because on the planet that she is from, you don't get last names, you get numbers. And she is number 1305, which is actually a very, very low number because her population, her planet, has way more than 1,300 people on it. So she's more higher ranking. Your ranking is based after what your number is. And her family is a little bit more older. So she was one of the first few generations born, and she's 1305. So she holds a little bit of prestige on her planet, and so she's decided she wants to travel to other galaxies, other planets, and study them a little bit. She's a nerdy sim. She really is more shy, less outgoing, kind of quiet, keeps to herself, really worried that people are going to figure out who she is. But kind of like my mermaid sim, she's gotten lucky enough to find a group of people that are all a little bit strange like her, and she gets to live in a house where she can be more comfortable and still study the human world and keep an eye on everything and see where the planet is headed in her own little way. So she has obviously her regular form, and I thought it was a cute idea to do an alien t-shirt. Her bedroom is way over designed with like all sorts of alien references. She definitely doesn't hide it at home. And it's not something where if, you know, you go out and you wear an alien t-shirt in public, nobody's going to know that that means that you're any different. But her facial features, I definitely tried to do something that was a little bit strange, maybe a little bit more exaggerated on the eye shape, on the lip shape. She has like somewhat of an animalistic type of face, which we all do. Everybody has like an animalistic face, but I tried to like pull out her facial features just a little bit and over exaggerate them. And then for her clothing and like her jewelry and stuff, of course I tried to make references to anything that was futuristic looking, spacey, alien, and I ended up doing these cute little boyfriend shorts. She's not really much of like a fashion forward sim. She doesn't really care about her looks too much. So she just wants to be comfortable, and boyfriend pants, so comfortable, the best. So she has a cute little tied up shirt and some glasses. She doesn't even really need the glasses. They're totally just for show. And then for her alien form, wait until you see what I did. I went totally crazy with this. And again, this is one of the reasons why I decided she needed to be a female, because all of the custom content I downloaded worked for female so much better. And she came out a lot closer to what I was actually going for in my head. So she's a little bit crazy looking, but when I make alien sims, I like that. I like to go completely nutso with it. I don't really like the standard look that, like, kind of like the shaved head, pointed features, pointy ears, and then maybe some glowing eyes and call it a day. No. We want something that looks like it is completely out of this world. So I really like to use different skin patches when it comes to alien sims. I love to play with color because you can get away with doing like really bright neon glowing skin. You can also get away with like patches of pretty colors here and there. So I decided to give her all sorts of birth markings. She's got these beautiful pink freckles that are kind of around her face, and then in the, I think it's the skin details, I found or it might have even been in tattoos, I found this mod that basically changed her facial structure and added some extra ribbing underneath. And then I also found this one skin that changed half of her skin tone. I don't know if that's actually the intent of what it was supposed to do or it's glitching, but I loved it. It just slightly changes one side of her, and she has like this line that goes straight down her body and makes one side of her slightly darker green. I thought that was brilliant. It's a subtle little touch instead of doing like a half yellow or a half blue and really contrasting it. It's still there, you can see it, and it's a more interesting like feature. And then I wanted to do really big over exaggerated ears. I found these ones, they're made more for like goblins. They're pre-decorated with all of these jewelry pieces, and you can change the color of the jewelry. And then yeah, you finally get to see these dresses that I found. I don't know the creator who makes the futuristic content, but it is beautiful and like super highly done. And if we ever do get some kind of a futuristic pack for The Sims, I really hope we get stuff like this that is less like spacesuit and more like maybe what you would think the Jetsons would wear. That's kind of where I'm at with my head when I would like want something like that. I ended up just pairing it off with some boots. I didn't want to cover up too much of her skin because I really wanted a lot of her skin details to show, including like the pink patching and all of that. And yeah, that's just her true alien form. She ended up coming out exactly how I wanted, and I cannot tell you how much of a hunt it was to find all of this CC. So again, all of the custom content she's wearing is linked on my Pinterest, so if you're looking for anything in particular, please check there first. It is linked in my description, and then you have to click on the Sims 4 folder, and you will get all of the subfolders that are underneath it. Moving on to my Sim couple, my vampire couple, their names are Blair and Hal. So when I was designing the house and thinking of Sims that I could put in the house, I wanted there to be male Sims. And like I told you guys, I originally went in with the idea that the alien Sim and the mermaid would both be male. And then doing the creative Sim, it didn't turn out that way. So I was like, I really want to do a female vampire, but I also really need to include a couple of male Sims so that there's just more to do in the house. So I decided to create a vampire couple. I feel like that's super appropriate. And they're like the most interesting. So Blair is an older vampire. She's older than her boyfriend Hal, or husband Hal. I don't remember. I think I did them as married. And Blair actually turned Hal into a vampire when way back in like the early 1800s when they were younger. She kind of fell in love with him and she was already a vampire. She wanted to keep him. So she turned him into a vampire and then they got married and they've kind of been together ever since. But as the years have gone on, Blair has become more and more unappreciative of her husband, and she doesn't particularly always enjoy him all the time. She's not the best wife. She is more inclined to cheat than most people. She is a serial romantic, so being married is not really working for her, especially as the years go on. She is a little bit evil. She is kind of in the game for herself, and she is super confident. She knows she can get away with doing anything she wants, and Hal kind of just blindly follows after that. So Hal is this like really goody two-shoe, loves Blair to death, would literally do anything that she wants or says, and unfortunately Blair has gotten to a point where she kind of just disregards him, and Hal doesn't have the ability to leave her. So they're not the most healthy relationship, and I decided that it would be fun to kind of do it that way because Hal is his goal is to do or have a soulmate, and her goal is to be a serial romantic, which doesn't really work if you are married, and they are already like pre-married. So unfortunately, they are a little bit of a mess, and it will create an interesting dynamic if you were actually to play with this house. I am personally always the type of, like, if I am going to play, the person that creates drama. I like to do things that are realistic and crazy and weird, and I'm not really like your cookie cutter nice player. Like, I will absolutely do some weird storylines. So I wanted to create something really fun and interesting. And I think Blair and Hal are just that. Instead of just making them like some vampire couple that's madly in love and they're so happy and they wouldn't picture being with anybody else for the rest of their lives and they're super like old and that's just how it is. I didn't want to do that. That's so overdone. It's so cliche. So I decided that it would be a lot more fun to give them almost just like a strain on their relationship. And if you were going to play, you could take it either way. You could take it in the direction of allowing Blair to kind of go and explore whatever she wants to do, or and sticking up for Hal and like kind of breaking them up. It's totally up to you. That's one of the things that I love about The Sims. So for their vampire form, the only real thing I wanted to do is do like some really creepy makeup first of all. So I ended up using an eyeshadow on both of them that is more alpha, but it creates a red and deep set like speckly eye that makes them look more just frightening, and then big glowing eyes. And then I also really like the idea that when they turn into their vampire form, they obviously get like more amped as far as their personality. So everything that they are when they are in their human form is double when they are in their vampire form. So their age shows a little bit more. They tend to have like gray or white hair because they just can't keep up the appearance when they're in their vampire form. And they're also just like, their personalities, like I said, are just double, triple what they actually are. So they are, when Blair is in her vampire form, she is even more like out for herself. She is even more she'll like leave the house and disappear for hours and hours and not tell anybody where she went. She will go on dates with random strangers and live a double life and totally just do whatever she wants to do. And Hal tends to get a little bit more angry because he has like a lot of deep set anger. When I gave this thing like a whole backstory, and I'm like really getting into it, and I don't know why, but I hope you guys are enjoying it. He has a lot more of like a his inner issues with the whole situation come out, because Hal knows. He knows what's going on, and he kind of just ignores it because he loves Blair and he wants her to be happy, and he does whatever he wants to, he lets her do whatever she wants to do, but he is not able to ignore it as much when he is in his vampire form. So when Hal's in his vampire form, he gets a little bit more mean, and he doesn't really tolerate it as much. They tend to argue a little bit more, which actually creates a really weird dynamic because Blair is kind of looking for someone who's not so clean-cut, goody two-shoe. She wants a bad boy, so she prefers Hal when he's in his vampire form, and Hal doesn't really like to be a vampire in general. He doesn't really turn people. He doesn't really like that part of himself. Over the years, he's kind of come to resent being a vampire and living for so long and being considered a more like evil occult. So he doesn't really like to turn into a vampire and pretty much avoids it at all costs. So it creates a weird complex between the two of them. And then in general, for his look, I really just wanted him to be good looking. That was the only thing that I could think to do. So I ended up going on Pinterest and looking up like beautiful vampires, and it brings up all sorts of people. So I found one that I used as a model reference. The hair I originally was going to go with didn't end up working, so I did this pushed back hair, which is pretty. I like it. And he also has like a same aesthetic to Blair. She has like lots of tattoos, lots of jewelry, and he likes that same look as well. So he has lots of piercings. He's a little bit more muscular. He spends more time working out, and a polished, more high fashion type of look to his clothing. He likes fashion. So that is Blair and Hal. And like I've said for all of these Sims, I do want to put it out there that since I ended up creating 4 females, and 1 male, I would be willing to do this again and switch the genders for everybody. And I think I would do a couple for the mermaids instead. So if you want to see a different set of occult Sims that can live in that same house, I would be willing to do that. Let me know in the comment section down below if that's something that you would like to see. And also let me know if you enjoyed today's video and if you'd like to see me do more Sims families and groups that kind of coordinate with some of the houses that I build. But I do want to put out the disclaimer, of course, that I do build with no CC when I build a house, but custom content when I do Sims, and that I know does sometimes create a little bit of a strange dynamic when it comes to downloading, because some people use custom content and some people do not. But a lot of you have been really enjoying the occults in general. Like, when I asked for requests, so many of you just wanted more occult stuff, and I'm definitely happy to give it to you. So check out my Pinterest if you want to see all of the custom content. If you in general are just looking for occult CC, I have folders and all sorts of stuff you can go through. And these guys are available for download on the gallery under my origin ID, The Alleged Simmer. All one word. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that little bell icon below to turn on post notifications so you can get updated every single time I post. And I will talk to you all in the next one.